Okay, this is a request video review of Purity ROM for the Nexus 10. I haven't done any reviews yet on any ROMs running layers. I don't normally run layers on a ROM, but just my preference, but decided to go ahead and do this video and try out this ROM. The first thing I'm going to tell you right off the bat, this ROM does not come with a browser installed. I had to download a browser. I think. Wow, okay, it just might work. There was no browser earlier. But after this reboot, yeah, see, it's not working. So what I did was I downloaded Opera browser. It works. It works pretty good. Because I don't like using Google Chrome much at all. Jeez, look at my shirt, it's all screwed up. Alright, let's get into this. I did change the wallpaper. The wallpaper that comes with it's a standard wallpaper. It's got a lot of lollipop wallpapers on it. And I am running a layer. I had to install a layer now. Because the one thing with layers are, once you install them, you have to reboot. And if I'd reboot, it would shut the video down. And I'm not going to get into that. The layer is Spartan. It's a free layer. I do have some paid versions or paid layers that I have on here. But I'm not going to run them because they're really, really dark. And I know I'm going to get a lot of bad feedback on that. So I'm just not going to run them. But you'll get a chance to look at just how the layers work with ROM. So let's go ahead and get into the settings. Your developer options are your basic developer options. You have your advanced reboot. There is no enabling super user in this. If you want root, you need to flash super user when you flash your ROM. And I left all the animations on. Normally I go in here and shut the animation scales off, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. Those three, Windows animation, transition animation, and your animation duration scale, are three things that you can do to speed your system up quite a bit. But it does take away slightly from the Lollipop experience with all of the animations that Lollipop has. I'm not going to go too deep into this because there's not a lot of custom settings on this. This is a very, very close to stock AOSP, except that it is capable of running layers. First time I loaded it, I had issues with getting it to run layers, but that was my bad, and I redid it, revisited it, and since I'm new to using layers, it took me a little bit to get used to it. But it's working now, and it's working actually really, really well. We will go into the custom settings. Under system, you have your status bar settings. I haven't set any of this up yet, so we'll go through it real quick. I don't want this video to really drag on a lot. So clock and date enabled. We're going to go center. Normal for AM, PM, date, normal for date. There is no colorization, anything like that. Like I said, this is other than these customizations, it's a really true to form AOSP ROM, almost stock. And you know, sometimes I do like a really stock type ROM. It just takes you back to Android roots, and that's why we like Android so much, because it's simple, non-cluttered. I'm going to go with a landscape battery icon. I like to see my percentage next to icon. Let's see here. Everything else looks good. Power menu, we're going to go ahead and enable screenshots. I do take a lot of screenshots. I didn't, in order to enable the user switcher, you have to add another profile on there. I didn't add one yet. I normally do. I have 2 or 3 profiles I add on. The expanded desktop, there is your settings for that. Your navigation bars. Let's see. Your button layout. You can edit your buttons. All you do is you hit that edit button, and you take and physically move the buttons where you want them, and then hit save, and you just switch your buttons around. I kind of like them. I like the buttons like that, and hit save. But that shows you how to do that. Let's go back. Let's see. And you can change your navigation bar height. I'm going to leave it, well, actually, let's make it just a bit higher. And that's it for navigation. And you got your navigation ring targets. I don't use them, but you can edit those. Let's see, and your clear all button position, which is one of the reasons why we load a custom ROM, because the stock ROM, you have to swipe each one off one at a time. It does not give you that that clear all. Trying to think here if there's anything else that I need to go over here, because everything else is basic Android. Lollipop. Okay, I did want to show you, first off, let's go back into settings. I want to show you that under About Tablet, under Kernel, you'll notice I am running Khaun kernel. I run Khaun's kernel on this tablet. It just really helps out with performance. I'll show you the drop down too while we're here with that particular theme. And there's a reason, like I said, there's a reason I run it. It really does a nice job of speeding the tablet up. And if you flash the kernel, it's easy to set up. You don't even really have to if you don't want to, but I would download Kernel Auditor from the Play Store. It's a free app. It will allow you to get in and change your frequencies. The tablet comes stock running at 1.7 or 1700 megahertz, and I always overclock it to 1.9 gigahertz or 1900 megahertz. And I always set the CPU minimum frequency to as low as it'll go. There's reasons for that. It does help in battery depending on the load you're using and the governor you're using. The governor I'm using right now is interactive. That's what it comes set with, and that's what I'm going to keep it there. It runs pretty smooth with that governor. You do have your apply on boot button. And if you look down through the settings tabs, there are about the only thing you can change on this are CPU speed and your governors. You do have a voltage control. I like to overvolt, you know, +5 or 10 globally. If I'm really trying to save battery life, then I'll try to undervolt a little bit. But for now, I'm just testing things out, feeling this ROM out a bit. So I'm gonna overvolt it a little bit and see where we run at. See if I run into any issues. So let's go ahead and get out of that. I just wanted to show you the kernel I'm running and what I use to change things on it. I did want to show you one more thing. Since this ROM does not have a lot of customization features on it, there is an app on the Play Store that I highly recommend that gives you some of those custom features. I like a battery bar. I've always liked a battery bar. That's one of the reasons I flash a custom ROM, is to get that battery bar. I like it baked into the ROM. It just seems to run smoother. It looks better. The colors are better. But if you have a ROM that does not have a battery bar, there is an app on the Play Store called Team Battery Bar. There's a free version and then the pro version. I like to purchase an app if possible. If I like the app, I definitely purchase it. There's a lot that goes into developing these apps and these ROMs, the custom kernels, and you know, it's just, you should show your appreciation to the developer for using them. You know, by making a small donation or purchasing the app. I mean, it doesn't cost much. It's just kind of cheap. I think it's like $1.99, and it does a lot. If we go into here, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Settings. Go into the settings. I'm going to set my height at about 6 and try it. See where we're at. That's about right. Animations I want on. Pulse animation, standard, animation mode, normal. Then we're going to go back. We're going to swipe over to the colors. I don't like the off color. I just like it showing what the battery percentage is at. And then we're going to change standard color. We'll get rid of this and just go to, let's see. Let's just gonna go with a purple, I think. We're gonna go with purple, and the charging color, we're going to make that, let's make that a red. Alright. And back home. And as you can see, I now have a battery bar, and you can see I'm charging at the moment. If I unplug the charger, it will change to the color that that I set for my standard battery bar color. That's about it. It does have an automatic update, over-the-air update kind of thing with it. Purity, it's U2D. You can set it for, you know, your intervals, how long you want, you know, space between check times, and it will download the latest version for you, which is a nice feature. Overall, I think the ROM is a very solid ROM. I haven't had any issues at all with it. No force closes, no reboots, no random reboots, anything like that. The kernel that comes on it is perfectly fine to run. You do not have to flash Khaun's kernel. I do it because I just do it because I like overclocking, and some of the testing I do is pretty intensive, so that's why I do it. But you can download it as is, flash, and you're good to go. Just remember, it does not come with super users, so you're going to want to flash Chainfire's super user. You'll flash the ROM, flash your G apps, and then flash super user, reboot, and you're good to go. It does take a couple minutes for the first boot, so give it some time. I usually let it boot. Once it boots completely, I still let the tablet or phone sit for an additional 2 to 3 minutes and let everything just kind of settle out. So, well, I hope you liked the video. Again, this is Purity ROM for the Nexus 10, and we'll see you soon.